Okay, before you guys view the final assembly of the 42RE, a couple things that I wanted to go over. And first one is probably about 21 to 22 minutes into the video, I am adjusting the reverse band. All right, I already did the intermediate band, adjusted it, checked it, and tightened the adjustment. All right, so now I'm doing the reverse band. I adjusted it, and I'm pulling on the actuator to make sure that I got decent movement, to make sure that the drum is turning and not dragging with the band where it would possibly burn out prematurely. Okay, so through all this, I get a phone call, my cell phone rings, and I'm actually off camera for a little bit. And then when I came back, I honestly must have forgot where I left off, because I checked the adjustment again. I checked the actuator again, but I never tightened the adjustment nut for the reverse band. You'll see that it was left loose. But also, I was waiting for my pressure transducer to show up, which showed up like the following day. All right, so the transmission was built and it was actually in the car and waiting for oil, but we couldn't oil it up because I still had to wait for this part, only 2 bolts in the pan. So it showed up, and showed up UPS whenever it did, dropped the pan and installed the transducer, plugged it in, and then I always give everything a once over, you know, before I put the pan back up, and I noticed that I left the adjustment nut loose. So it did get tightened off camera. I just totally forgot to do it when I was filming the assembly. So I came back and I checked it, and I just put the valve body on, the filter in the pan, and did the closing. But I just wanted to let you know that that on camera it didn't get done, but as I was giving everything a once over like I normally do before I put the pans on any transmission, just make sure, just look at it, make sure everything looks okay. I noticed that I left it loose, so I did it. I tightened it then, and the transmission worked great, went out, and all is well with that. So I wanted to let you know that. All right, the second thing is, through the first, the part 1, which was 1 week and then another week, and then the valve body video, I was getting some comments because I was mentioning when I was talking about the spring, and people commented, hey, you didn't show us the spring. So I actually have one. My supplier had sent me one so I can show you guys. And again, this sits in the housing or the hub that the Overdrive direct clutch rides on. And again, as a standard procedure, I always change the Overdrive direct snap ring. Okay, 7 out of 10 times that snap ring is broken, but whether it's broken or not, it gets changed. I get a brand new one. Every once in a while, what happened on that teardown video will happen. It'll blow out, you'll lose reverse, and we'll find pieces of it scattered around the transmission. A couple times when we're doing services on these, I'll find a piece in the pan, but it'll still be okay, you know, because just one piece came out and the rest is still intact. So I show the client, everything is working okay. So I'm just telling you it's a time bomb, and you're probably eventually it's gonna go. So for it to blow out like that every once in a while, most of the time, or I should say 7 out of 10 times, I find that snap ring broken, you know, and I take the tension off of it and I try to pick it out, you know, I take the pieces out, and sometimes it's not broken, but regardless, brand new one, no matter what. All right, so I wanted to let you know that. And also, when I was talking to my supplier about sending me the spring, and I says, hey, you know, I need that. I wanted to show everybody that Overdrive direct spring, that, you know, big 800-pound spring. And he said, oh yeah, I know what you need. I got one on my desk. It holds my pen and pencils. I said, oh, okay. I said, how did you know, configure that? He said he got a coaster, got it to fit, you know, the bottom of the spring, glued it on or whatever he did. Now it's on his desk, holding all those pens and pencils. So it can also be used as a non-transmission part. All right, so let me get a little closer, and I'm going to show you this big spring that's in that housing. And also, I hope you like my new uniform shirts. Our company just supplied us with all brand new uniforms. The other ones were getting kind of old, so they showed up with new stuff. And I like it, very nice. I kept a couple of the older shirts because I don't really wear these when I'm tearing down. This is a brand new one, first time wearing it. And I'll wear this when I'm up in the front, you know, with clients and road checking cars and speaking to people and stuff like that. But I have other shirts that are a little, not as clean, I should say, for when I tear the transmissions down and I'm working here on the bench. So let me give you a little close-up shot of this spring and then on to part 3 of the final assembly for that 42 RE. Okay, so here is the spring. All right, again, apologize for not showing you the spring, but it's something that I really don't take apart. It sits inside the housing again that the Overdrive direct clutch rides on. Then there is a cover, and the Overdrive sun gear kind of splines into the cover, and it's all held in with a smaller snap ring. And if there's no hard part damage back there, I really don't take anything apart. You know, I just put this in my wash tank, the whole hub and everything, wash it up as is, and it's good to go. All right, so that's it. Don't forget to change that Overdrive direct snap ring on these overhauls. All right, so that's it. Okay, now on to part 3, final assembly of that 42 RE. Okay, so we're at part 3, which is the final assembly. So all of the sub-assemblies are done. The valve body is done. So now we're pretty much going to load everything up into the case, adjust the bands, put the valve body on, filter, and a couple of bolts in a pan until my pressure transducer gets here, which should be here probably Monday or Tuesday. All right, so I have to run out for a little while, but I want to do an intro. But when I come back, in about an hour, hour and a half, we're going to load everything into the case and hopefully finish it up. I'm just going to say finish it up between today and tomorrow morning, depending on what time I get back here. All right, so that's it, and I'll be back, and we'll go ahead and put this together. Okay, so we're going to start loading this up. We have the case pretty much ready to go, meaning I have the reverse servo, the intermediate servo, I got the reverse band and drum, and there's a snap ring that holds that down. All right, so I'm going to leave the case up just like this. Okay, now I need we got the rear planet and ring gear to go in. Put that in place. Okay, we got a member washer on each side. Okay, next we have the sun gear and shell. And then we have the front planet assembly. Washer here, washer in the front. All right, we got a new up-tab washer, as I call it, new bushing in here. So this will be dropped in as one assembly. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to lift this down. We're going to take our intermediate shaft and we're going to put that in because we got to put the snap ring before we put the pump and drums in. Up the splines, there we go. So I hold down the planet because of course as you push in on the intermediate shaft that everything is going to go forward. So I kind of hold it down there. Okay. Now we're going to put our clip, our snap ring I should say. Okay. Okay, that's good. Then we have our washer here. Okay, so now we're ready for the drums, the band, and the pump. So I'm going to put the intermediate shaft through this hole in the bench here, and I'll just readjust the camera. Face it this way so everybody can see. Okay, see if I can back it out. All right, so let me move it back. And I'll leave it just like that. All right, so we air check the drums, and they air check good. All right, so we can go ahead and spin the drums in. And the drum here for the direct drum is going to link into the shell. As the forward clutch gets splined in. Okay. All right, so now to make sure it's down, that seems like it's hitting solid. Okay. Now we have our band. All right, so on the band, you can see this part is going to face up. All right, so then we have our band strip that's going to go in, but first let's install the band. Just got to give it a little help here. There we go. Okay. All right, here's our band strip. Hook it up. Okay, and our adjustment. I'm going to go ahead and start that. All right, so we just still got to adjust that band. Okay, now maybe I'll switch angles and we'll go from the top. I'll put the camera up here because now we're going to install the pump. Okay. All right, so just give me a few minutes. Let me kind of see what the best angle is here. Just give me a few minutes. All right, so we're going to load the pump in. I hope you guys like this angle, but first we're going to put our pump gasket. All right, so this is going to go actually like this. All right, so I put the Trans-Gel on the pump O-ring and around here, just, you know, to make time go a little quicker. That's what I do on all of them, so you guys can always do that. All right. Now we're going to put our pump in. So I have the pump here, and I'm going to line it up. I got the screwdriver I'm going to stick through, and it's going to go right here. Push it down a little. All right, we'll see how that's lined up. All right, let me get my pump bolts, and also off camera, I took the old washers off and I put new washers on these pump bolts also. You kind of just get a flat blade screwdriver. I got a flat blade screwdriver and I kind of just twisted them and then I spun them off. Seems like they're going in okay. All right, now we're going to go ahead and put the pump down. All right, so that's flat. That is down and hitting flat. It's not like rocking back and forth, so the pump is down all the way. Let me just tighten a couple of these up here. Okay. Okay, now we're going to tighten these down to 20 foot-pounds. Okay, it's already set. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to get the camera back on switch angles. We're going to flip this transmission over, put the overdrive section on, adjust the bands, valve body, and that's pretty much about it. All right, so let me switch direction. I'm going to flip this over. Give me a few minutes, I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're going to install the overdrive clutch piston. Now, the piston has two tabs. Okay, so this piston can only go in, you know, either this way or this way. And on the trans, oh, you can't see that, but all right, let me bring it up a little more. Okay, so here are the two notches that it fits into. So that's what you got to line up with the piston, with these two here. So this really can't go in any way. You know, it may fit, but it can't go in any way. So you got to line these up with the holes in the clutch apply, in like the piston apply housing. So we're gonna grease this up. Putting some grease on the lip seals here. Okay. Gonna get my feeler gauge and we'll get this piston in. Okay. All right, so first, let's get it into pretty much where it belongs to be in the area. Okay, so right about there. Now let's get the feeler gauge and get it to drop down a little bit. Okay. Okay, so we're in. There we go. Okay, and it's just turning a little bit, so we're good there. All right, our selective shim. You know, I'm gonna have to hook up a power cord because I'm getting the light flashing that the camera may die. Okay, so give me 2 seconds, let me do that. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, back with you. Now we're gonna do the extension housing gasket. Really don't want this thing to move because that overdrive section is very heavy. So we want to try not to get this gasket to move. Alrighty. Alright, so now I'm just gonna pick this whole overdrive section up. And we're gonna slide it on. May have to twist it a little to get it into the splines here, but should drop right down, and watch your fingers too. Okay. That's why I say to watch your fingers. That sucker is heavy. All right, now one of these, I think they took a bracket off, so there's one bolt that's not here, but they must have it because it wasn't in there when the transmission was torn down. Okay. Let me find my socket. Should have had it ready. Okay. All right, so I use the 7/16 chrome flex just to run them down, and then we can tighten it up with a wrench. Yep, give me 1 second. Okay, got people calling wanting to bring their cars in, so I said, come on down. I stepped out for my appointment, come back, and there's a Mustang sitting in the lot and the keys are thrown through the door. Okay, I got another one coming. All right, so let's make sure these are tight. Oh, did I do this one? I did not. Okay. Alright, and okay. Alright, so our output speed sensor is going to go here, and also we have the plate with the gasket that's going to roll across here, which we can do once we flip this thing over. Alright, so I'm going to lay this down, and let me reposition. And we're going to adjust the bands. Going to put the accumulator in, drop the valve body in. I can tighten that down with 2 bolts, filter, and just really the pan. I can really only put 2 bolts because that's going to have to come back down again. So let me just reposition, and I will be right back. Okay, so now we're going to adjust the bands and put the accumulator in and put the park rod in, and then we'll set the valve body in place. But actually, before we set the valve body in place, once the bands are adjusted, we're going to air check everything, make sure it's all good. All right, so now these bands on these RE series transmissions, honestly, as long as I'm doing this, I kind of just go by feel. But I'm gonna tighten these in, and we're gonna see how many turns out it's gonna be before I'm comfortable with tightening the adjustment, because I normally just, tighten it up. I back it out a turn. I kind of feel it by picking up on this, sometimes air checking it, But here is the adjustment here, all right, and that is a 40 Torx. So let's back this out. So we're going to turn this all the way in and kind of snug it up just like that, all right? So what I'm going to do now, let me just move some stuff out of the way. We're going to go out one turn. All right, so we got the speed handle. We're going to go one turn out. Okay, that is still, of course, way too tight. Let's go 2 turns out. Okay. Now let's hit it with a little air, see what it looks like. Not too bad. All right, I'm gonna go probably like another, let's do like another quarter turn. All right, now what I want to do is I have my channel locks here that I'm going to go in the output shift. I want to make sure this drum is going to spin. Okay, that looks good. Drum is spinning. Okay, also you can take a screwdriver, pick it up, and you can see here how the band is moving. All right, so I would say, it might be fair to say about maybe 2.5 turns. I'm just going to go a little more and stop it like that. Okay. Okay, I think that's good. All right, so we got 2.5 turns on the front band. And I don't want to forget to lock that down. Good. All right, now, reverse band, okay? Let's do the same thing. We're gonna go all the way down. Got a little socket here set up. So it's kind of, all right, so that's kind of, I mean, the socket doesn't fit the greatest, but it's gonna have to do. All right, so let's put this here. And we're gonna go with 1 turn out. Way too tight. 2 turns out. Okay, still it's moving a little, it's still a little too tight. We're gonna go a whole nother turn. 3 turns out. All right, I'm turning it and you can see the drum is turning. So that's good. Now let's hit it with a little air. All right, give me 1 second, folks. I'll be right back. Okay, back with you. So we got this 3 turns. That's not that bad. I think we're going to go like another quarter of a turn. Okay. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. All right, so we got, you know, 2 to 3 turns on this, and with this one, you know, had to do at least 3 when it was all the way tight. So this one was about 3 1/4 turns. So between 3 1/2 turns. This is probably like 2 1/2 to 3. So, all right, so that's pretty good. Now let's air check one more time. All right, now the drums, the 2 drums, I think this is one of them. Good. Very nice. Okay, and there we go. Okay. Very good. All right, now we have our accumulator to put in with the 2 springs. So we can go ahead and put the 1 spring in there. And then we have, again, our seals. So we look at the seals, and these are black Teflon with blue speckles. So we go to the kit, and we find both of them the same way, black Teflon with blue speckles. Okay, so let's go ahead and put those on. Okay, if you want to try them, let me just take this out for a minute to see how they fit here, that's fine. But usually, they're the same color. It should be okay. I honestly really never had a problem with these not working correctly. Okay. Okay. There we go. And okay. Now we have our park rod. We're going to feed that in. We got to actually get the park rod to, there we go, the park pole to go into to move it. And we're going to lay that here. A little, again, a little tricky to put that in. Let me just make sure we're good to go here. You guys can see. I'm going to put some grease on the O-rings for the wire harness, and also some grease on the linkage where the lever seal will go. Okay, so I got some grease here. Got to be careful with this, it's a little loose. Even taking the valve body out, you should push on this, because if you try to yank this up, you'll break it right here. All right, I got some grease here. So what we want to do now, all right, now I gotta hold this up, the linkage park rod, get it into the linkage hole, there we go. Gonna hold it in place. There we go. Okay, we're good, she's in. All right, let me get a couple of bolts in here. Do one here. Now I got to get that. The tricky part is getting this clip in. Not easy to do. Even if you leave the linkage rod on, it's a little tough to get the valve body on. I find it's much easier, but everybody has their own preference to do it this way, and then put the clip on. So what I do, and if you drop this thing, when it goes into the tranny, may be a problem, to be honest with you. So you got to be very, very careful. I'm going to get my slide, and I hold up onto the linkage rod so the land is exposed where the clip goes. All right. Okay, so I got it. Oh, it's windy out. So I got it started, and now I'm just going to push it on the rest of the way. She's in. And I can spin it so I know it's in all the way. Okay, good. All right. Let's get the bolts in. These are still loose. Again, I got to take this apart again, but I'm just going to tighten these down anyway. to here, here, and here. These are the 7/16. Here, here. Okay. Let me get my socket. All right, you can do 100 inch-pounds. Okay, that's it. Get our filter. Filter's here somewhere. We got the long torque 25. That looks good. Okay, all right, let me just get my pan, because I forgot to clean the pan before, so let me just get it out of the tank, get the gasket ready, because the gasket is reusable. So just give me a few minutes and we'll finish this. Okay, so this is the reusable gasket that's gonna go on. Okay, Durapreme one does come in the kit, but I don't really like to use that because the way the pan is shaped here, there's no raised area. So, you know, I mean, you can use the Durapreme, but I would probably maybe put a bead of silicone on each side so it doesn't leak, but because you really can't get these, so I'm gonna give this a shot and put this back. They really didn't look that bad. All right, but I'm just gonna put 2 bolts in the pan because I do have to take the pan back down again. But at least he can, you know, the guys can hang it, you know, get it in the car, do the install, and then I can always do the when I get the part, which probably won't be till, you know, around the first delivery truck gets here around 1 o'clock. Just got to drop the pan, pop it in, and put the pan back up. Okay. Okay. All right, so now we got the seal, our lever seal. Go here, and I have a tool for that. Tool for this. Okay, that's good. And then we have our little gasket here with that. Okay, so this here. With this little metal strip and 2 bolts with our torque 25. These aren't the easiest to get loose. All right, what do I do with my socket now? It is. Okay. Okay, now the only thing I really have left is to put the linkage on. So this here has a flat spot. You can go ahead and put that on. Make sure the linkage moves good. do pretty much is just tighten that down. Okay, and then for the throttle cable, okay, let me get the socket for that. That's one that I just used. Okay. Input shaft turns very nice. I'm going to get the, you know what, we got the little filler tube boot there. Little filler tube boot is there. And that's it. '2002 Jeep Grand Cherokee 42RE rebuilt. Again, just waiting for the sensor, no big deal. You just install that, and that bracket holds it in, plug it in, good to go. All right, so 2002 Jeep Grand Cherokee, Laredo 4.0 42RE transmission. We had found on the teardown, which you guys saw, the overdrive direct snap ring was blown out, the clutches were blown out of place, which caused the complaint of no reverse. And they said no fourth, but they said there was a noise going in fourth, but I'm just wondering, I didn't drive it myself, it actually did go into fourth, maybe it was just noisy and didn't seem like it was, but we're just gonna go with the complaint that the guy said no reverse and no fourth. Had a feeling we were dealing with something in the back here. So we got it all fixed up, ready to go. Converter is here. Here is the converter. Code on the converter is 596, and we're ready to go. All right, so I try to do these rebuild videos when I had some time. This one was not bad to do, and I got basically an early start, so I was able to, over the course of 2 days, to rebuild the trans with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna keep trying to do that when I can and when I have time. All right, so thanks for watching, have a great day, and we will see you next one.